Welcome to Good Business Pays TV, the podcast where you can find out everything you need to know about late and slow payments to small businesses. This is one of a series of interviews that we're doing with Intuit QuickBooks customers. And today I'm joined by James Vincent. And James is one of the founders of Hot Sauce Creative. So welcome, James. First, start by telling us all about your business. How did you get started? And tell us about your business.
Firstly, thank you for having me. It's great to see you again. So I'm the co-owner of Hot Sauce. We're an award-winning digital marketing agency. We've been going for around 8 years, which I can't really believe it's been that long. I started many years ago out of the idea of wanting to change the industry. I felt like there was an opportunity for a new kind of marketing agency. We were lucky enough to launch and be quite successful in the beginning. We worked with everybody from airlines all the way to government and everybody in between, really. And over the last few years, we've been heavily focused on training as well, which has been very beneficial for companies and organizations.
Well, and tell me more about the vision as well that you had. You mentioned that you wanted to create a different type of agency. So what is that difference with Hot Sauce?
With a lot of marketing agencies that are out there, through my own experience of working with clients, there's a lot of smoke and mirrors around marketing. And there is sort of sometimes a resistance to work with marketing agencies with this idea of, what is the return on investment? What am I going to get? And actually understanding what that agency is going to be doing. So very much from the beginning of working with our clients, we train them. We educate them on how to use marketing themselves. So eventually in the long run, they don't even need us. And it creates much more of a stronger relationship because they know what we're up to. We know what, they know what we're doing. And it usually creates much more of a longevity. Some of our clients have been with us since the beginning and, they've stayed with us and we've created some fantastic relationships. I believe that if I follow this ethos of being very transparent and authentic as an agency, I will have a much longer relationship with my clients and a longevity as an agency owner myself.
And are your clients a mixture of small, medium, and large? How does that all work?
Absolutely. Over the years, we've worked with everybody, as I mentioned, from, very large companies like airlines, all the way to tiny startups. These could be one-man bands that, have just come out of the idea of having an idea and want to get to market. We work with everybody from board games to councils. We've worked and developed our own tourism platforms. We heavily work with charities as well as schools. Our services can span across a range of sectors. As long as we apply that sort of same recipe, our clients are usually very happy with what we do.
So you're teaching the marketers and the clients how to make the most of marketing as well as providing some services to them.
Absolutely.
So these discussions are all about problems that companies face with late and slow payments. Is this an area you've had experience of or problems with in the past?
Absolutely. When I first started my agency, we were paper-based invoicing systems. And, it was just what we did to kind of get started as quick as we could. And I was lucky enough to be introduced to QuickBooks, which changed a lot of what we did. It changed the way that we invoiced and it helped us out a lot. But it didn't mean that people were still going to be on time. We've experienced it multiple times over the last 8 years of people that we've worked with that have not paid us on time, or it's been very delayed, or they've decided that they didn't want to pay us at all. And this can have a massive shift in company growth. Especially this was very much early on in the agency development, and as a young business owner at the time, I had no idea what to do. And I there were stories that this was a normality in the industry and kind of don't worry about it. But this had huge knock-on effects to my company growth, as well as my own motivation to sort of work with particular people. And, there was even at one point thoughts of, should I be even staying in this, because this is a lot of risk for myself. So yeah, it's more common than you think.
And I assume as well that you have your own suppliers and supply network that you have to pay sometimes well before you get paid. That's also a problem, right?
Absolutely. We work with some incredible freelancers and sort of marketing agencies as well. we can't be specialists at everything. So we work with sometimes sister agencies as well as individual freelancers who are brilliant in their field. But it would be wrong for me to then turn around to them and say, well, you're only going to get paid when I get paid. That creates such a sour taste, and it's not the ethos that I like to follow. So I will pay those freelancers up front. The problem with that is that it now affects my cash flow because I've now taken on double the risk with the hope that I will be paid.
So despite the technology, the ability for people to pay fast, they don't pay fast. You talk a lot about values within your own company, but what do you think is driving that delay or that slowness in payment?
I believe there is an element of it's the culture within the industry sometimes, that don't worry, it can be 30 to 60-day net payment period, and that's normal. And for many years, I believe that was actually a normality in the industry. I believe that it was just the culture of it, like, oh yeah, you're going to be paid, but it'll be around 60 days. And I was like, okay, fair enough. That is what it is. But only once I started working with, particular service industries, as well as really diving into kind of growing my agency, I found out that this actually wasn't the case at all. There were some fantastic clients who would always pay you on time every month. And we work with some today that are absolutely brilliant at paying us. But, that doesn't mean that there haven't been moments throughout the development of this agency where it's just 60 days or 90 days because it is what it is. And that's quite a hard pill to swallow sometimes.
And what difference does it make when you find those, I call them fast paying clients, where you get paid fast and regularly? What difference does it make to your business?
Momentum and motivation to work harder. I think, if I get paid on time, I've now got money in my bank to keep my business growing. I've got money that I can put aside for a rainy day. It means that I can pay suppliers and organizers and the people that have been involved in contracts on time or even before that. And again, that creates better relationships with me. If I can't pay a supplier on time and then I turn back to that supplier 6 months later with some extra work, they're now not going to they're going to look at me as a risk. And I don't want that. I don't want that sort of relationship. I want it to be that I can always turn to these people, freelancers, suppliers, and so forth, and they'll go, I want to work with James. So if I get paid on time, the momentum for me to grow my agency is so much smoother. And there's also much more of a motivation to work harder with this idea that more money can potentially come in.
And does it, because you've now understood this idea that there are some clients maybe you would like to work with and others maybe you wouldn't like to work with because of that payment culture thing, does it really affect who you go after as a client? And if it does, how do you check it out beforehand to make sure, you're getting into partnership with the right client?
100% does. In the early days of having the agency, we took everybody as face value, that we believed that we were always going to be paid on time, that it was going to be great, very smooth contract, in and out, transaction to money, happy. But as the years have gone on, my reluctancy has grown. So now we audit clients before we work with them. And there are some industries actually we stay away from altogether now, because we just know that we won't be paid on time. And in my world of marketing agencies talk, and so there'll also be there are forums and online sites and so forth that you can check now, when you're most likely going to be paid and what the net period of that average company will be. And if that company is delayed on paying repeatedly, agencies like myself won't work with them, because you're taking on too much risk.
Mm, mm. And I suspect as well that that means that a lot of companies will be missing out by not being able to work with some of the most innovative thinkers with the latest ideas and services and products because of their payment culture.
Absolutely. And as a second point to that, I also think it forces sometimes the innovative people out of the industry altogether. I've met some freelancers throughout my years who have been incredible, the pinnacle, top of the top. They are so cutting edge, but the industry of not being paid on time has left such a sour taste in their mouth. They've left the industry. And I worked with an individual about a year ago who I used all the time as a freelancer. She was absolutely brilliant. And it was just one client after another, never paid her on time. So she just said, I can't do it anymore. She was so drained by it, she left. And she now has, by the sounds of it, a very brilliant job in some certain in-house company. But I think she could have had the absolute potential to have created an unreal agency, but that has been stopped because of no payments on time.
Well, I think you've painted the light and the dark of payment culture for us really well. I guess my final question is for other small businesses who are at an earlier stage than Hot Sauce and they're worrying about all the things that you have been talking about, what tips might you have for them? Firstly, around avoiding getting into the problem of bad payment culture in the first place or a bad contract? And secondly, what do they do if they have then got a problem waiting for payment?
Firstly, I would advise you to connect with other marketing agencies like myself. If you're thinking about going into the industry, create a community of people you can turn to. When I first started my agency, I was very much, this kind of one-man band in the sense of on my own, not many people to really turn to. And I had no idea if this was normal or not. And as a result, I had to learn heavily from my own mistakes. So I think if you're starting out in this industry, turn to marketing people, find a mentor, be able to talk to someone. And as I say to most people, I've done a number of guest lectures at universities where I tell these students when they're about to start, reach out to me on LinkedIn, talk to me, because I'd be very happy to answer any questions. The second thing is having a good payment system in place. So, for example, QuickBooks is great for that. It does allow that sort of accountancy management for you to very much keep on top of that. But thirdly, I think turning to companies and organizations like yourself, actually, going online and actually being able to audit these clients and say, is this a good person to work for or not, and being able to actually find out, lift up the lid, and look under the rug, or whatever expression you want to follow, and say, is this a good person to work for or not just take on any work because they think it's a good opportunity for them.
Terrific. And how do people find you? You've I think as a chief marketing officer or an ex-chief marketing officer now myself, I would say you're a great ambassador for your profession. How do people find Hot Sauce? How do people find James?
Well, you can reach out to me on my email at any time you like, which I'm happy to share. We've got our website, www.hotsaucecreative.com. But also, please reach out to me on LinkedIn. My LinkedIn is open, it's public. I very much try and support many aspiring business startups as well as freelancers and aspiring business owners, because I didn't have that support. So please do, if you have any questions or if you're concerned about this industry, reach out to me. I'll be happy to help.
Well, James, it's been a pleasure talking to you today. Thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you very much for your time as well. It's been great.